Hi again, fourth graders. It's homework time. Get out your Succeed book. Today we will work on Lesson 8 homework. Open your book to page 39 with me.
Let's look at number 1. Complete each statement by rounding the number to the given place value. Use the number line to show your work. A says 41,899 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is. I ask myself, how many 10,000s in 41,899? Look at the 10,000s. There's a 4. This is what's going to go on our bottom endpoint. 4 10,000s. 4 10,000s is 40,000. There it is in standard form. What is 1 more 10,000? 1 more than 4 10,000s is 5 10,000s. That's what goes on the top endpoint. 5 10,000s is 50,000. Here it is in standard form on the top endpoint. Then you have to find the midpoint. Halfway between 40,000 and 50,000 is 45,000. That's because 5,000 is halfway between the 10,000s. Next, you have to figure out where to put 41,899 on the vertical number line. I labeled 41,899 on the number line right here. I notice it is less than 45,000. Yes, 41,000. It's more than 40,000, but it's less than 45,000. So it goes below the midpoint. That means when we look for which endpoint is it closer to, the bottom or the top, it's closer to the bottom endpoint, 40,000. That's why it's circled. So it rounds to 40,000. Let's take a look at B. 267,072 rounded to the nearest 100,000. So let's see. Now we're rounding to the nearest 100,000. There are 200,000s in this number. So we're going to start with that on the bottom endpoint. 200,000s is 200,000. And they've already labeled that. 1 more 100,000 would be 300,000. That goes on the top endpoint. And in standard form, it's 300,000. Then you find the midpoint. Halfway between 200,000 and 300,000 is 250,000. That's because 50,000 is halfway between 100,000s. Now we have to figure out where to place 267,072 on the vertical number line. 267,072 is greater than 250,000. This one has 6 in the 10,000s, and the midpoint only has 5 in the 10,000s. That means we have to place it above the midpoint. Then we look to see which endpoint is it closer to. 267,072 is closer to 300,000. So rounded to the nearest 100,000, it would be 300,000.
Let's turn the page. Go to page 40. Number 2 says 982,510 books were downloaded in 1 year. Round this number to the nearest 100,000 to estimate how many books were downloaded in 1 year. So we're rounding to the nearest 100,000. We have to use the number line to show our work. So first we check how many 100,000s are in the number 982,510. There are 900,000s. That goes on the bottom endpoint. And 900,000 is the number 900,000, written like this in standard form. What's one more 100,000? After 900,000, the next one will be 10,100,000. 10,100,000 has a different name though. It's called 1,000,000. So we have our endpoints labeled 900,000 and 1,000,000. Now we find the midpoint. What's halfway between 900,000 and 1,000,000? 950,000. Then we decide where to put 982,510 on the vertical number line. I see there are 8 10,000s in the number. That's more than 5 10,000s in the midpoint. So that means the number needs to go above the midpoint because it's greater. So they placed it above the midpoint. Then we check to see which endpoint is it closer to. Remember, when we round, we only round to the endpoints. It is closer to 1,000,000. So that's why it's circled. Says about 1,000,000 books were downloaded in 1 year. When we round, we say about how many. So 982,510 is about 1,000,000. Go ahead and take a look at number 3 and remind yourself what you learned in class, and then we'll work on the homework problems. Pause the video while you look at number 3 and then press play when you're ready to keep going. Complete each statement by rounding the number to the given place value. Use the number line to show your work. Number 1A. 67,000 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is. So we need to see how many 10,000s are in the number 67,000. Look at the 10,000s place. There are 6 10,000s. So we're going to start with that on the bottom endpoint. 6 10,000s. What number is 6 10,000s? In standard form, it's 60,000. Now, for the top endpoint, what's the next 10,000? It would be 7 10,000s. And what number is that in standard form? We'll write it over here. 7 10,000s is 70,000. Now we need to find the midpoint. What's halfway between 60,000 and 70,000? Remember, these are 10,000s. What's half of 10,000? 5,000. So when we make our midpoint, we're going to start with 6 in the 10,000s, and then we need to have 5,000. So this will be 65,000 for the midpoint. Now we need to figure out where to put 67,000 on our vertical number line. You have to decide, will it go above the midpoint or below the midpoint? Is it greater than 65,000 or less than 65,000? 67,000 is greater than 65,000, so it needs to go above the midpoint. Put it on your number line and label it. Now, which endpoint is it closer to? When we round, we have to pick one of the endpoints. Is it closer to 70,000 or 60,000? Circle the one it's closer to. Did you circle 70,000? Good job. Then we write that on the line. It rounds to 70,000. Now let's look at letter B. 51,988 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is. So we're doing 10,000s again. How many 10,000s are in this number? Find the 10,000s. It has 5 10,000s. Let's start with that on the bottom endpoint. How do we write 5 10,000s in standard form? 5 10,000s is 50,000. Now, what's the next 10,000s number? After 5 10,000s comes 6 10,000s. That goes up here on the top endpoint. And we write it in standard form. 6 10,000s is 60,000. Now find the midpoint. What's halfway between 50,000 and 60,000? Think about what we did up here. What was halfway between 60,000 and 70,000? See if you can figure out this midpoint. Did you say 55,000? Good job. Now we need to decide where to place 51,988 on the vertical number line. Decide, is it greater than 55,000 or less than 55,000? 51,988 is less than 55,000, so it will go below the midpoint. Label it on your vertical number line. Now decide which endpoint is it closer to. Is it closer to 50,000 or 60,000? Circle your answer and write it on the line. It's closer to 50,000. How did you do? Okay, now you try letter C. Pause the video and then press play when you're ready to check your work. See if you can do it. Okay, let's see. This one was tricky. I noticed that there's a 0 in the 10,000s, but there is 100,000s. So guess what? There are 10 10,000s in this number. I put that in unit form, 10 10,000s. We can write that in standard form as 100,000. Then the next 10,000s is 11 10,000s. That goes up here. 11 10,000s in standard form is 110,000. Then the midpoint would be halfway between. It would be 105,000. Is that what you have for your midpoint? Then I placed 105,159 on my vertical number line. I put it right here, just above 105,000, because it's greater than 105,000. Now I'm ready to circle which endpoint it's closer to. I see it is closer to the top endpoint, 110,000. Let's move on to number 2A. 867,000 rounded to the nearest 100,000 is, well, how many 100,000s are in this number? I see 8 in the 100,000s. So this number has 800,000s. What would that look like in standard form? Write it here on the bottom endpoint. 800,000. What's the next 100,000s after that? What would go up on the top endpoint? That would be 900,000. What does that look like in standard form? See if you can write it. 900,000. Now we figure out the midpoint. What's halfway between 800,000 and 900,000? I know that half of 100,000 is 50,000. So I'm going to start with 8 in the 100,000s, and then I'm going to finish my midpoint with 50,000. So that makes 850,000 for the midpoint. Now decide, where should 867,000 go on the vertical number line? Is it greater than the midpoint or less than the midpoint? Think about where to put it. 867,000 is greater. It goes above the midpoint. Now decide, which endpoint is it closer to? Will it round up to 900,000 or round down to 800,000? I see that it's closer to 900,000. I circle that and write it on the line. Now you try letter B and C. You're rounding to the nearest 100,000. Pause the video and then press play when you're ready to check your work on B and C. Let's check our work on B and C. So 767,074 has 700,000s. That goes here on the bottom endpoint. In standard form, it's written 700,000. The next 100,000s is 800,000s. That goes on the top endpoint. And this is how you write it in standard form, 800,000. The midpoint would be 750,000. Did you get that part right? Then you place 767,074 on the number line. 767,000 is more than 750,000, so it goes above the midpoint. Then you should have circled that it's closer to the top endpoint, so it rounds up to 800,000. How did you do on that one? Let's look at letter C. 629,999. It has 600,000s in it. That goes here on the bottom endpoint, and it's written 600,000 in standard form. The next 100,000s is 700,000. And you write it like this. The midpoint would be 650,000. And then you place 629,999 on the vertical number line, and 629,999 is less than 650,000, so it goes below the midpoint. Then look to see which one it's closer to. Is it closer to the top endpoint or the bottom endpoint? It's closer to the bottom, so circle 600,000, and that's what it rounds to. Did you get it right? You can work on some of the problems on the next page on your own. You got this. You can do it. See you next time. Bye-bye.